You're right, it's counterfeit. See the watermarks?
Yeah, sure.
You shouldn't, under an ultraviolet light. Paper's another giveaway. Someone have a genuine bill?
Yeah. There you go.
Great, thanks. There you go, you see the difference? It's pretty good work, though. Most of us at the Secret Service are dealing with poor quality counterfeits. We call them P-notes. They're actually printed on home computers.
That actually works?
Dark restaurant, busy grocery store, you'd be surprised. This is a different game, though. This is old school engraving and printing. Paper's got good feel, magnetic ink.
It's magnetic, what do you...
Real bills employ different magnetic inks. That's how a bank sorters distinguish different denominations. Our guys are old school philosophy and state-of-the-art technology.
Our guys?
The Secret Service has been tracking this crew. They've resurfaced periodically over the last 5 years. The tip-off is the denomination.
Hey, most counterfeiters print 50s and 100s, higher return, right?
Yeah, and higher risk. Big bills get more scrutiny. These guys are conservative and patient. They only print small bills and they never spend them.
How do they profit if they don't spend the bills?
Well, they can sell them in bulk, and they can lay off 1 million of these and get 300,000-400,000.
Yeah, usually to gangs or other criminal enterprises who then use it to fund more crime.
So these aren't copies in the traditional sense of the word, then?
No, they're hand-rendered by an artist. Then the engraving process begins.
Someone actually draws these?
If you've been tracking these guys for 5 years, you must have active suspects.
Not yet, no. We'll run a search, tell banks to keep an eye out for bills with a similar serial range, and maybe this time we'll get lucky.
You don't sound optimistic.
These guys have been beating our playbook since before I inherited the case. We'll work the money. I think you should work the homicide separately.
It's actually grounded theory. This problem screams for a case-oriented approach.
Excuse me?
In grounded theory, the homicides will have one solution, the counterfeiting another. In a case-oriented approach, the homicides become a variable set, interacting in some complex manner with the counterfeiting variable set.
Can I have a word with you?
Sure. Excuse me.
Can you explain to me what your brother is doing in a federal office, wandering into the middle of my investigation?
First of all, he happens to be a bureau-proof consultant, and second of all, this seems like one case to me.
Okay, you still could have briefed me ahead of time.
Come on. I don't think this is about my brother.
All right, that's fair.
So I guess you left Albuquerque.
Yeah, I left Albuquerque. Look, your mom got sick. You had to move back home. I've always understood that.
Look, let's just focus on the work, okay?
Never was a problem, was it?
I've compared Margot's work to the counterfeit $10 bills. These are two-dimensional representations of a multi-dimensional graph actually plotted in 72 dimensions.
Well, just simplify it, okay? Just put it in layman's terms.
Bottom line, I've made comparisons with the works of over a dozen known forgers and counterfeiters, okay?
Right.
None of them have any similarities, but these graphs match, Don. They're identical. Margot Hughes drew this $10 bill.
I mean, she has been missing for 3 weeks.
Okay, and as far as we know, they've only introduced their 10. They follow pattern, they'll release a 20 soon.
What's your guesstimate of how long it would take to draw one of these 20s?
It's hard to say, but if I were Margot Hughes, I'd be taking my time as soon as they're done with her.
She becomes a liability. They'll have no choice but to kill her.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so what we're going with is the counterfeiters kidnapped Margot Hughes to get her to make a template to make phony money, right? All agreed? Now, my problem is if we don't break some kind of lead soon and find these guys, I don't think we're saving this woman.
Great. Thanks. Okay, we told banks to watch for the bogus 10s. They've been showing up. We have Bakersfield, San Bernardino, and Palm Springs.
Oh, that's great. So we find out who's spending and then work our way back, the same way we work drugs back to the supplier.
The problem is the banks can't link the bills to a specific depositor. They're in circulation and there's no way to trace them.
People's shopping patterns. Patterns can be quantified into equations.
The Secret Service and the Treasury Department have been working on this problem for decades, okay? Predicting money flow, tracing counterfeit in circulation, it's unpredictable. There are too many variables.
That makes it challenging, not impossible. Right now, the dispersal seems fairly contained, and that works in our favor.
Okay, so then what do you need from us?
Data, lots of it. Everything from where these bills are turning up, and not just from banks, from stores, from restaurants, from movie theaters.
I'd like to follow the evidence from the warehouse. The lab was able to reconstruct an ink sample from the scrapings you took off the floor.
Right, good.
Let me get you a list of known counterfeiters. I find that even the ones who are retired tend to keep up on the latest technology.
We're looking for counterfeit $10 bills. Now, they've shown up in 3 geographic clusters. We're gonna isolate the one in San Bernardino. That means checking into grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, just door-to-door canvassing, okay?
All right, the bills you're looking for are good. They are not perfect. This sheet details some of the differences to help you ID them. Find a bill, call it in immediately, please. The more we find, the faster we find them, the better our chances of figuring out where the next ones are gonna come from.
And I know I don't need to reiterate this, but there is a 24-year-old woman's life at stake here, okay? So let's go. Thank you.
You can move your San Bernardino search grid south of Foothill and west of Mount Vernon, okay? Exactly. Yeah, fine.
Charlie, I wish I understood what we're doing here.
It's a probability algorithm.
That doesn't help me.
The bills start at 00. The counterfeiters. We start here. Point XY. As we locate each bill, we get a better idea of the dispersion, a better idea of where to look for more bills.
Right. You're not gonna look in the next room.
Or certainly not on the ceiling or in the parking lot.
So the more bills you find in a given area, the closer you are to the counterfeiters?
Well, it's not just the number of bills. I assign values based on the purchases. So, for instance, 2 or 3 bills showing up in a tire shop may hold less significance than a single bill in a corner market. Someone may travel way across town for tires.
But a quart of milk, a carton of cigarettes, that they get closer to home.
I think we both get it.
Yes, you and your brother are a lot alike.
You think so? Most people can't get over how different we are.
Well, yeah, the interests are pretty different, but the approach, this 1 part exuberance, 2 parts obsession, that's pretty much identical. When Don and I first moved in together, we had to have separate CD racks because I never put mine back in the same place, and he has to know where each song is at every moment.
You and Don live together?
In Albuquerque. You didn't know? He didn't?
You know, we lost touch for a while, so he may very well have told me, but you know what? I didn't put that Kim together with, you, Kim.
Yeah, it's all right. I know how Don is.